and welcome back to another episode of Motivate with Coach Camp. I, of course, am your host, Coach Camp, and we are down here in these lavishly luxurious studios of SRP with Mr. Derek Michaud. This week's guest is somebody that I know you guys are going to love. Recently, I had a great opportunity to go down to Walls, Mississippi, the place that I grew up in, and speak at a teen summit. Now, at the Teen Summit, there was obviously a lot of teenagers, as it would suggest, but then there were some other key speakers that came in and spoke, and I got an opportunity to meet some amazing people. And this individual just so happened, he was doing the prayer, the opening prayer, and he's sitting down next to me, and I get to talk to him for a second, and I start hearing his story of where he's come from, where he's at now, and where his vision is moving forward. And I said, my goodness, that is an amazing story, and I know that my listeners would love to hear from you. So, of course, Coach Camp invites him down to the studio, and my man shows up here today. He's ready to talk, and so without further ado, let's bring him into the conversation. How are you doing, Mr. Jaylon Smith?
Man, I'm doing great, man. This is a blessing, man. I love the studio. The studio is actually beautiful, man.
It is nice, ain't it?
This is great.
I can't take credit for it. That's my guy, Derek, man. He's amazing. He takes good care of me and my guest. So want to make you guys feel important too when you come in here.
Yes.
This is not like low rent stuff, man. This is good. I want your story to be told. I want a lot of people to see it because I know it's impactful. It's really amazing. So let's just start with this, Mr. Jaylon. Share with me where you grew up, where you're from, and a little bit about your background.
Oh, okay. So that's a great question. One thing I can say, I'm from Memphis. I was born in Memphis,
okay.
But I had problems with my parents, so my auntie and uncle had raised me, so we had to move into
what age were you when you moved in?
Okay, so like I said, when I was very first born at the age of like 1 year old, I had moved from Memphis to Byhalia, Mississippi, and my auntie and uncle, they had took me in as they it's kind of like their son. Mm-hmm. And that time was going on, I was going from school to Memphis and staying in Mississippi, so we had to travel back and forth daily, going to school. I was in some elementary. I was going to Gully Elementary. I went to Sheffield High. I went to Curry.
So while you're in Byhalia, Mississippi, you're going to school in Memphis.
Driving an hour every single day, every single morning, and they did it because of the kindness of loveliness of their heart. Mm-hmm. They didn't want to mess up my history and things that was going on in Memphis, but they took me from Mississippi and actually made a foundation there for me to start.
Okay.
So as time was going on, when we moved closer towards Horn Lake, and we still just kept the same routine going. Still driving like 40 minutes every day, just going to school. And it just became a natural thing. People was like, why am I driving from here to here every single day? It just became natural.
So let me just stop on this for a second so we can kind of make sure we put some pieces together here. So you're born straight out the box as a baby.
Yes.
You move in with your aunt and uncle down in Byhalia, Mississippi. Now, you weren't going to school at one, obviously. So you stay there for a little while in Byhalia growing up. And then I guess whenever you get to kindergarten, first grade, somewhere in there, they enroll you in the Memphis City schools.
Yes.
And so they're taking you back and forth to school. Now, do you have brothers or sisters?
Oh, crazy. I did have a younger sister, but she didn't come until around the age of 5. And I did have other siblings I didn't even know nothing about. I found out about them at the age of like around 12. I have 4 younger sisters. And so they were really in my life and things like that. I just had my auntie and my uncle. And my mom, she was coming from time to time, but she also was in college. So she had to do college and work. So I really didn't get a chance to see my mom like that, really. And my father, he was one of the biggest gang members in Memphis.
So he was in a gang?
Yes, he was one of the biggest gang members in Memphis. He was in and out of jail a lot. So they brought like a lot of havoc and a lot of pain because I'm like, man, I want my father, I want my mother.
How old were you when you realized your dad was involved in gangs?
No, it's crazy. My auntie and them, they told me at a young age. They told me at the age of 5 because I remember one day we was at the house and he had came in there. He was just arguing. Him and my mama was. And I'm like, what is going on? And I seeing a group of friends outside that was part of him, a part of his crew and all. And I realized my mama said, he a blood and all. At the age of 6 and 5, she told me he was a blood.
Did you understand what that meant?
I didn't know what it meant, but I understood it wasn't nothing good.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew that much, but I knew it still brought a lot of pain and hurt because I'm like, that's my father.
Because living in Mississippi, I mean, there's not a lot of gang activity in Mississippi. So really, it's kind of foreign to a point since you're growing up down here. Yes. I get that you're going to school in Memphis, but even in elementary school, there's probably limited, I'm not going to say no conversations on that, but probably limited, except for kids that are exposed to it by a family member. So, so you didn't have a sibling living with you while you were in Byhalia?
No.
You were by yourself?
I was by myself.
And at what age was it when they moved you up to Horn Lake?
Okay, like around the age of 10. I would say at the age of 10, we had moved from Byhalia, Mississippi to Horn Lake. And we came here because it was more subtle. It was more quicker place. We got tired of just seeing trees every day. I mean, we came down to Horn Lake. They had the Walmart. Everything was more close around instead of being 3 miles apart.
You're saying from like a small town to a little bit bigger town.
Yes, a little bit bigger.
Because Horn Lake's not massive, but it is definitely bigger compared to a Walmart town.
Yes, right? Of course. And we was trying to get the connection. We're going to Olive Branch, South Haven, and Horn Lake. All that together, man. And this your whole package right there.
Sure.
So that's what we just wanted to have that whole package, and then be just. I mean, it was number 15 more minutes. We got a little bit more closer to Memphis. That's really what was it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So at 10, you move up this way. At that point in your life, did you know of your younger sister that you mentioned?
Actually, like I said, my one of my sisters, they came at the age of 5. That's the one who started moving in with me, started growing up with me and all that. But
at the age of 5, so she's living with you in Horn Lake?
Yes, right now.
Okay,
but
at that time though?
Yes, at that time I kind of didn't, but I did. And then like my other 3 sisters, if I'm not mistaken, because it is 4 of them. The other 3 I didn't know nothing about. I never knew them, and I probably heard like little glimpses on them talk about, you got other sisters and all that. I never got a chance to see their face, and never got a chance to actually just be there with them. But if it was probably for like 5 minutes, just driving from here to there.
Yeah. So when you moved up to Horn Lake and you're still going to Memphis City schools, are you involved with your mom at that point at the age of 10? I mean, how much are you seeing your mom?
Okay. So I mean,
So I'm building the story because I really want my viewers to really grasp what your roots were, where you came from, and your experiences and exposures, because I think that's going to play big if they understand from the ground level to where you are today. From 17 years, you've actually lived a lifetime in 17 years, and so to do this, we really got to put those building blocks in place so everybody understands why the struggle you went through was significant. Unfortunately, it's not unique because a lot of people go through this, which is why your story is so important. But then it's also not a crutch. It's not something you have to lean on and say, well, I was a victim of life. Now I can't this or I can't that. And that's why I know people your story's going to resonate, because I want folks to see the positivity on the other side of all this. So when you move up this way, at the age of 10, how much are you seeing your mom, if at all, and what is that relationship like?
Okay, like my mom, she always was a loving mother, but at the same time, though, she was back and forth with my dad. So it's like if I was to see her, it'd probably be like for about a week, and then she'd be gone for a couple of months. And but she always, I can never lie and say my mom wasn't a packful mom. She made sure I had school clothes. She made sure that I had a foundation. She made sure that she took care of me. But she always was going right behind my dad. She always wanted to talk to my dad. She always wanted my dad to be there. She always wanted a family. She wanted the same thing that I wanted.
So really, the truth is, and what I'm hearing is parents sometimes will be in a bad relationship, and they realize it's toxic for the kids, and they just can't let go of the relationship. So I'm assuming, now help me out if I'm wrong, I'm assuming your mom recognized, at least she was able to recognize you staying with her with that kind of environment, and her recognizing that she's not going to be able to step away from your dad, you know, putting you with your aunt and uncle was going to be the best move for your well-being.
Yes, and I agree. I feel like that was her best decision, and it hurt her to death.
At 10, do you understand that? Do you recognize that's what's going on?
Yes, that's exactly what happened. She was. I remember nights her just crying and just telling me like how much she loved me and all them things, but she still had to go back and be with my father because she still wanted a family. She wanted to try to help him. But
yeah, that's also another thing that I've heard a lot in. I don't know how you really want to describe it. Not healthy relationships, we'll call it that. So not healthy relationship. The other person wants to stay optimistic and hopeful that things can align and be better and be fixed. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but what I am saying though is a lot of times a person continues to go down a road that's not healthy, not only for the children involved, but for themselves, and it can end very tragically. Tragically, obviously. We're going to get to some of that. So at the age of 10, how much is your scenario affecting how you go about your day, from playing sports or being involved with friends or going to school, making grades? What is that battle like? Because I think it's hard enough for a 10-year-old to try to wrap their head around. They have a family that's kind of estranged. They're not together, and it's, it can be dangerous at times, even from what you're saying.
Yes.
But not only have that on the outside, but then you still got to be a 10-year-old, which has all of the struggles of a 10-year-old. Yes. So what is that going? What's life like for you at that point?
Man, that's an amazing question, because I was so what I can say is, man, it was hard because I had to live 2 different lifestyles. Cause I at home, man, I couldn't bring no mess to my house. I couldn't bring no mess to my auntie and uncle. They was too. I would say my auntie, she was very heavily with God. I mean, she prayed and all them things. So I could just come to the house like full of mad, full of anger. But best believe, as soon as I got out there at that car door, got to that school,
flip the switch.
Man, flip the switch quick. I was mad at everybody. I walked in. I remember I had went to a summer camp one time. I walked in. And I told everybody, I said, I don't care about y'all. I don't want to be here. I'm tired of all of y'all.
And you were around 10 at this time this happens. Okay, yeah.
And crazy to say, at the age of 10, I was already 5'10". So people, they look at me like I'm 13 or 14 or thinking I'm at a higher age. I'm just 10. I walk in there, people, they wanted to talk to me and all that, especially young ladies. I always had a tend to attract young ladies who didn't have a father. And I was like, bro, why do I keep on attracting this? But that's because I didn't have my own father, so I was trying to fill that void of them not having theirs. Man, I was doing women wrong. I mean, even at the young age, I was actually doing young ladies wrong. I was hurting them. I mean, I know I caused physical abuse. Well, not hitting and things like that, but like verbal abuse. Yeah, I know I said some very hurtful things, even to some of my friends. Like, as soon as they said something, they got up under my skin, I wanted to fight. Yeah. I mean, I was telling my young cousin earlier that I was a great football player, but as soon as you said something to me, I sparked off. Yeah. I remember one game I just started punching on my cousin for no reason. Wow. He made me mad. I just started punching him in front of the whole crowd, and I was so embarrassed afterwards because I seen where my anger was taking me. But I really just wanted to have my father, and not having my father there, man, it affected me a lot. Because the only thing I know from him was he was this aggressive man. He was fighting people. I mean, he was doing women wrong. I mean, he was doing women very wrong. So I didn't want to be the same resemblance. But at the same time, though, that's all I knew. Yeah. So I had to walk around with anger. I was cussing at teachers for no reason. The teacher would just be like, "Hey, how you doing today?" Well, I'll just say blank, 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 for no reason. And I don't even know. I just knew that I had so much anger built up.
When did you notice that for the first time? How old were you? The first time it really surfaced?
12.
So at 10, it's probably starting to bleed in a little bit, but at 12, it really escalates, right? Yes. Which, I think that it's fair to say this too. For every kid, which this goes hand in hand with what we're talking about here, is every kid that goes through adolescence and they start to go into that puberty stage. Yes. I mean, they're going to be temperamental. Look, I got a 15-year-old daughter right now. She can be an angel one second. The next minute, I'm like, who let the devil in? Yes. Why is she in here? Yes. I mean, and she ain't an angry person in general, but it's just the hormones and it's the age range and it's the exposure to friends. And now, I mean, so you grew up more or less in social media stage. So, kids from about 2008 on that grew up in the social media storm, there's a whole nother element of exposure to everything that I didn't have growing up, obviously. So I think that, it's important that we build the steps here, but we also follow the timeline as to how you saw the stages of your life being affected. So let's go below the age of 10 for just a second. Okay. From 5 to 10, and at this point, you're in Byhalia before you move up to Horn Lake. From 5 to 10, what is a day-to-day life like for you outside of school when you get home? Like, what is your routine?
Okay, so as a day-to-day routine, I had to be more of a child. I mean, my auntie and uncle, they tried to do their best. Even though my uncle, he was a truck driver, he was gone most of the day, they still tried to have that kid moment with me, still tried to give me whatever I want.
Were you playing sports?
Yes, I was playing. I was just getting to loving football because my uncle, he was a Cowboys fan. So I started loving football. I started loving Cowboys. That's what really drew me to football was my uncle. And it started releasing some of their anger, but as a day-to-day thing, they always had that childhood mentality putting it back into me. But it was like they tried their hardest, but I still wanted it from my mother and my father, so I was still sad every single day. So I woke up smiling and laughing. Soon as I got in the room, I'm in there crying. I'm hurt. I'm in the shelter. I'm in the box. But when I get back around, I have to switch back on, like I'm happy, like I'm jittery and all that. And man, it was hard.
Yeah, so from 5 to 10, and I can think back to my kids growing up, we always tried to make it a deal for their birthday or for like Christmas. Special moments for sure. We wanted to highlight that because life is busy, life is fast, and it doesn't matter really where you come from and what your background is. Those moments, those highlight moments, birthdays, Christmas time, moments of celebration, they are the memories kids they fall back to that. Yes. When you get older, you don't remember a lot of the things that you did on a day-to-day, but those special moments stay with you. What was that like for you? Did you have those moments, or were there moments where you can think back and what should have been a celebration was a sad moment for you?
Okay, so with that being said, like My auntie and uncle, they did have my Christmas. Now my Christmas, that was always the best. Like Christmas time, man. I remember going in there. They used to have the fish frying. They used to go in there. I could see presents all on the floor and all that. They tried to make my childhood the greatest. Every birthday, they had water slides. I had food trucks. I had everything. Like they was spending, like, I would say thousands of dollars on my birthday just so I could have that freedom, have that fun. Anything that I ever wanted, if I asked for just a pair of shoes, I would give them right there that day. It wasn't no question, it wasn't nothing. Anything I asked for, they gave it to me because they knew that they were trying to fill that void. Yeah. So they tried to cover up with gifts and things like that. But it's still, at the end of the day, it still wasn't enough. Because I love the respect. I even told them face to face, I love what y'all doing for, but I still want my mother and I want my father. Yeah, that's what I want, and that's what I always say I wanted to long for. But yes, them little moments of my birthdays and them Christmases, those were amazing. I could never forget that.
Yeah,
never.
So I think that's important too. So I'm trying to make sure that we follow why or how the anger built up in you, because that's a big part of the story here that we're going to talk about. And why you understand where it came from. So you didn't have that to look at and say, well, they didn't even care about me here. So I think that that's important because kids, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but kids will equate those special moments to being whether or not somebody cares about them. And what I'm hearing you say is, yeah, your aunt and uncle, they showed up for that and they let you know, hey, look, we appreciate you. We care about you. We love you. And we're going to give you these things. But then still what I'm hearing you say is this. And I think this is something that's so critical, so important for so many young people, is you could have the world, you could have all the gifts in the world, but in the end, the family unit, the love, the connection, the belonging, that's way more important than gifts.
Way more important.
You can't go buy that in a store.
No, and I remember growing up as a kid, I used to love Disney Plus and Nickelodeon movies. I used to see the movies of the kid throwing the ball with his dad. They was catching the baseball. They was running, just having fun. I mean, I always wanted to sit at the table with my mother and father, my little sisters, and just eat as a family. Yeah, man, it never happened. It used to be so discouraging because I was trying. I would try at the young age I try to have movie dates or something like that. It never went well. It always failed with my mother and father. But with my auntie and uncle, they still tried. But that void, man, it hurts. It hurts bad.
So you're hitting everything exactly what I wanted my viewers and listeners to catch, and that is you could have all the material gifts in the world, but you could miss that one element that everybody really needs, and that is that belonging of family. And I think the story plays on two sides here. So there are going to be a lot of people that have walked the path that you're on and you've been on in the past, and they're going to that's going to resonate. They're going to be like, yeah, Jaylon, I get it, man. I'm there right now. I feel that. But here's the other side of this, and this is where the beauty of the story can blend on two sides. Right now, there are people watching this all over the world, and they are recognizing that they are taking things for granted.
Yes.
They're recognizing right now, listening to your story, that they sit down on a regular basis as a family. They go on a trip. They go in the front yard and throw the ball. And they don't think about how important that is.
Right.
It's lost on them.
Yes.
That's why your story is so important, Jaylon. Because not just for those people to recognize that they can go through these tough trenches in life like you've been through, and come out the other side, which when we get to the other end of this story, it's going to be inspirational for everyone, of course. But I want people to also catch themselves in a moment of perspective and recognize that where they are right now is not guaranteed tomorrow. Don't get past this day and not appreciate it. And if you have those things, maybe you have the family unit, maybe you've got the money, and maybe you've got the gifts, but maybe you take it for granted. That's just as good as not having it.
Yes.
Live in the moment and appreciate the people you have around you.
And that's completely right. I was telling my friends, because I remember one of my friends, he's not my brother, and I was going over his house, and his family, they started bringing me in like their own family, and I was realizing, I'm like, you abusing this. He used to get mad because they want to have dinner and sit down at the table and just want to talk. See? I said, I would do anything for this. They was getting, his mother and father was doing everything. They was sitting up for any type of game he wanted, they was getting it. Any type of time he wanted, they did it. They would literally leave work and spend time with their son. I always wanted that, and it hurted my heart to see my brother sitting in that room just taking everything for granted. Not caring. He'll have them look for things. Like if he loses his basketball, they're in there looking standing there for hours trying to find the ball. They're in there trying to see what's going on. They trying to figure out more things to make him more happy, more satisfied, when he just sitting there like that just not grabs on to his parents love him. And man, it hurt it bad. It hurt it.
So let me ask you about your dad real quick then.
Mm-hmm.
Because clearly this is a hole in your life, and this is what led more so down the road to some of the issues that you had to battle through. How often or ever did you see your dad? And if and when you did, was there a communication line?
Man, every time I see my dad, it was something negative. Every single time. I remember I was telling my dad, because I mean, I didn't just have anger in my heart. It had to come from somewhere. So at first, I was very happy. I used to come to my dad, and I used to be smiling, and I'd be telling him, like, man, I had a great day today, Dad. And he used to tell me I was gay. He said I was gay for smiling and being so jittery. He used to just talk about me.
And how old were you then?
I was literally like 6 or 7. I was young. I'm just not experiencing him coming back into my life, and this is where you are telling me. I remember back then the kids, they would dye their hair. Some auntie, they wouldn't let me dye my hair or nothing like that, but they'd give me like a little spray on that, and I was spraying in my head. I came in there, he said, "You a faggot." He said it just like that, and he started laughing in front of his friends. He was talking about me and all that, and he didn't understand that really had hurt me. He just thought he was just playing and joking. When I'm like, "Are you understanding that this is hurt?"
Yeah.
And every time I was seeing him, his partners, his friends, his gang members, they was always doing something stupid. It was always smoking weed. It was always cussing. It was always me talking bad about women, smacking women, having prostitutes, all them type of things. I'm like, bro,
and you're at a young age, below 10.
Yes. And I'm up here, I'm like, I want to spend time with you, but every time I want to spend time with you, you take me with your friends, and they sit over here, they up here doing all type of reckless things. And I had to sit up here, and I was telling my mom, I'm like, Mom, I don't want to go back with my dad. I just want to spend time with you. My dad, he's cheating on you again. All these things. And every time I used to tell her, she used to be like, it's okay. She'd just be like, it's okay. We're gonna work this out, and go right back into every little last thing I said. He'll come back to me. He'll be like, so I did all it. I had to get real scared in there. Like, no, Dad, you didn't do that. I had to sit up there and lie because I didn't want that hurt and that pain from my mom. So it was very devastating with my dad. And I would say he'll probably come get me like once every 2 weeks or once every month. Like I mean, after a while, I started telling him, like, I don't even want to be around your family. His own family, they was taking money from me. They was taking my toys. I remember it was right around the time the drones had just started coming out. I had got a drone for Christmas. I'm flying the drone, and I let his family members play with it. It came up missing. I remember my Xbox games, everything. He was putting it in the pawn shop. He was literally going inside my sister's purse, taking $20 bills and $30 bills, and doing it just to buy some alcohol and some weed. And man, it used to hurt to death because I remember every single time it was negative. It was never a positive time, never.
And so at 10, 11, 12 years old, you're seeing all of the bad of the world, right? So you're being exposed to everything that you could imagine that no kid should be exposed to whatsoever, not even on a TV set, much less in real life, and much less your own father. So, I mean, it's like you start to think to yourself, how does a kid that's exposed to all that ever become balanced? How do they ever grow out of that? And how do they not become a part of that? So did you have some positive influences at a young age? Because obviously I'm not hearing that from that side. So if and where they were, what were they? Who were they? What did they do for you?
That's a great question. Okay, so it's a quick story time.
Sure.
I was in school, and I often get to fighting with this boy. I mean, I don't know why. I think he said something to me, and the whole school, they knew I was on go mode. As soon as he said something to me, he bumped into me. I was like, yeah, I'm finna beat you in front of everybody. I had the school crowding around. I had a whole crowd. I had the whole school there waiting for me to fight him. And there was this man. He wasn't standing from right here, from about 15 feet in front of me. And he, I just heard him say, he was like, don't do it. God got a plan for you or something like that. And I'm like, out of all this chaos, I heard a man whispering to me from about 10 to 15 feet away. He was like, God got you. Don't worry.
And how old were you at that time?
I was like 13. Wow. I was in that 13 age. I remember because I was just coming out of 7th grade, getting ready to go to 8th. And he said that, I don't know what got in me. I think the power of God something had overcame it. I just stood there, and the boy, I think he was from the swing or something, and they had pulled him back, but I had stopped, and everybody was just dying now. Like, man, you scared? They were talking about me. I'm like, I'm not scared. I don't know what got into me. And after the man, he pulled me over to the side. He became like my mentor. He started.
Is it a teacher? I'm assuming.
He wasn't a teacher. He was a counselor.
Okay.
But he does the with the twin programming in Memphis. They had the program where they work with kids in the school system, especially in Memphis, that don't have guidance. So that wasn't guidance. Guider had took me from a long way. He started taking me from church. I started going to church. I mean, I started seeing people shout, praise God. They were doing plays, and I was sitting there just amazed. But as the time was going on, he started telling me about God and started introducing God to my life. And sooner enough, he started showing me what a true father was. I mean, he spent them late night calls with me, talking to me, telling me it's gonna be okay, you're gonna get through this. He spent them times trying to make sure that if I was in school and I needed something, he would actually pull me out of class about 10 to 15 minutes, have me sit inside the room where we just talk and laugh, and I go back in there. And he just took that role of a father. He even started letting me come to his own house and start spending time with him. Like, I actually, like, even to this day, I still come to his house because he took me in up under his wing. It has molded and changed my life through COVID, through all of things. And that's what I can say that was the most positive thing that had happened, because he had introduced God in my life.
Yeah. So here you are about to fight. Built up, pent up anger. Clearly, we fast forward just a little bit to the 13th, so that's a part of it. So you had all this animosity and anger building from a childhood that I bet a lot of times, now don't let me put words in your mouth, you were angry and had no idea why.
Yes, all the time.
And so this is a common story that I've heard from people that have childhood trauma that they, as they get older, they don't know why they're always in a bad mood, why they're always angry, but they want to lash out at the world.
Yes.
And it really does take a moment sometimes in time for them to have someone speak into them positivity, give them hope, show them a path that's better than what they've been on. And then they start to recognize where that anger and animosity and the bad feelings come from, because the truth is, as a kid, you don't have a lot of tools. It's not, I mean, that's not a knock on anybody, right? So as a kid, you don't have the tools needed to deal with the things that life will throw at you. And you were being exposed to a lot of the bad side of the world at a very young age. So you have nothing to go off of, right?
Yes.
Well, I want to take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to get into this part of it right here, where the recognition comes and how you start to change your path, and the story that I want to be able to give to other people out there that might be in your position growing up, that they don't see that and they don't know where to go for hope. And we're definitely going to try to give them some tools for that. So don't get anywhere. We will be right back after this.
A great opportunity awaits. The Motivate with Coach Camp podcast is now in its second season, and we are excited to say that we have listeners all over the United States and in 19 countries. If you have a company and you're interested in some very affordable advertising while at the same time supporting a great cause, please go to motivatewithcoachcamp.com and fill out that sponsorship page, and we'll get right back to you. You can support the podcast through donations on Venmo at Motivate with Coach Camp. Thank you to all the listeners and guests who have blessed this podcast with their engagement and involvement.
Welcome back. We just took a little break. We're here with Mr. Jaylon Smith, and we are walking through some of the timelines that you've grown up through, and talking about some of your family history, your personal history, and some of the difficulties, because I think that people's stories, even whenever they feel like that they are in a bubble, they're by themselves, the truth is, if you're going through something, you're having trouble with something, you can rest assured there are hundreds, thousands, probably tens of thousands of people in the exact same situation. And that's why it's so important to not just share the moments of hardship, but then what got you through that and what gave you strength, and then how you can now become a resource. So that's what we're going to go into. So as we went to break, we were just now kind of diving into the part of, you were 12 to 13, you're in school and you're about to get into this fight, and how all these years have kind of manifested itself. And now there's this person inside you full of anger. I don't even want to use the word hate, but sometimes that does filter in, and you're just like angry at the world, and you can't explain it. Nor should you be able to, because a child doesn't know those things. They don't understand those things. But clearly at this point we're talking about it, we're able to recognize it's growing up in a family that, even though you had an aunt and uncle that cared about you and they took good care of you and they tried to make sure you had the things you needed, that one element that you needed so much was a mother and a father that could be there for guidance and mentorship. And we discussed on the first half how you could have all the material possessions in the world and come from whatever kind of family structure, but if those individuals closest to you don't connect with you, all is lost, and how so many people sometimes have all those things and they take it for granted, and they shouldn't. And so your story today is helping people, one, understand that because you're in a tough spot in life as a young person, you don't have to stay there forever, and it doesn't have to be the person you become. But then also, if you are not that person and you have those things that you're talking about that you miss, don't take it for granted. Recognize why it's so important. So here we are. You're 12, you're 13. You have a gentleman speak some positivity into you. And I want to throw in a little piece, though, for your folks that'll be watching. So I know you'll have people tune in that may have never met Coach Camp, so they don't know a lot of my backstory. And it's important to note this if you're new to the show today. I'm a retired firefighter paramedic from Memphis. Mm-hmm. I worked most all of my years in South Memphis, South Parkway. I was off near Brooks Road, 3rd Street. So I was in a lot of the gang areas of Memphis. I don't even know, hundreds and hundreds of calls on gang activity members, whether it was fights, shootings, stabbings, whatever, and lots of drug overdoses, of course. And one of the things that always hit hard for me, and understand this, I grew up in a family here in Mississippi. I grew up in Walls, and my mom and dad, they didn't have a lot of money, but we had the family structure. We had a strong family structure. We went to church every Sunday. We went to church every Wednesday. My mom and dad, they gave us all the needs we needed in life, and they loved us. And I was balanced from that. What you find is all of those nice things you can have in life, the new 360, you know, or the new iPods or whatever people, I don't know what they had. I'm an old guy. I don't have any of that stuff. So, whatever the nice items are of the day, right? What you realize is, yeah, that's nice to have, but that's not what you need.
Yes.
What you need is that family structure. You need that mentorship and that guidance, because that's what's going to give you the tools to be successful later in life. And when I was working in South Memphis, man, it was such a wake-up call for me, Jaylon. I mean, understand this. I grew up around a lot of other folks, a lot of other family members. Some of them didn't have moms and dads involved, but the neighborhood was safe, and we were kind of like a big community family. And you were growing up at first down in the country. You come up here, and now you're still going to Memphis, and you're like, wow, I'm seeing the gang activity up here now as you get older. And man, when I would make those calls, my heart went out so hard to those kids. I would go into bad situations, and I would see an 8-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 4-year-old, and I'm like, what kind of life are they going to have?
Yes.
You know? And I wish I could take them all home with me, you know? But my mom, I mean, it's like my wife would be like, well, our house ain't big enough. But, your heart goes out to them. And at the fire station, we did try to be a positive role for kids in our neighborhood. We would give them, some money for good grades on the report card and stuff like that. And we would do like a love donation for Christmas, because we understood a lot of those kids didn't have dads in their family. All right. And one of the things that I recognized was so many of those kids, and I'm talking from 6 and older, knew somebody that had been shot or murdered. And I'm like, that is not right. That's not right. And so as a firefighter, we took the role of trying to be a positive mentor. And you just shared with us before we went to break how a counselor at your school, maybe for the first time ever, it clicked and it connected. They saw something in you that you may not have even thought about, and they wanted better for you. So let's go down that road, what that starts to look like and how that friendship develops.
Okay, so like one thing I can say that I agree with you, man. In Memphis, man, even in our schools, man, we didn't have no counselors at Sheffield High School. I was there, and we had literally no guidance. I mean, we didn't have nobody sit down there and just say, "Oh, well, you're amazing. You do this, you can get this. If you work towards this, you can probably get this job." It's so many actual lawyers and people who actually want to have them jobs in Memphis. People, it's like, I was talking to these students and everything. I'm like, bro, y'all actually have a huge goal. Y'all actually got so many things that y'all want to do. It's just no guidance. And they have been exposed to so many things. And just by me having that one person to take time out their life and take time to just call me daily, just to take time to just stay in connection with me, man, it changes your whole perspective of life. Like, my whole perspective of life had literally had changed. I used to think, like, man, don't nobody care about us. Don't nobody really want to be here for me. Don't nobody want to see me happy. Nobody want to see me smile. I mean, nobody even wants to be a father to me. And I feel like that's one of the main things that in families, like, bro, you lose a father, you lose a person that's the leader of your household, a male figure of your household. It brings a lot of hurt. It brings a lot of trauma. It brings a lot of pain. To where in your mind you feel like you would never get it.
Mm-hmm.
You would never have it. And in your mind, you as a young kid, you're not thinking like, when I have my kids, I'm gonna be there for them. No, you're just thinking like you would never have it at all. So
that's the norm that you
yes.
know. And you even alluded to that some, just talking about early relationships, about how that kind of it bled into how you treated girls, because that's what you knew how to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it was mistreatment of other people. And obviously this one person, and this is the part, man, God, don't underestimate, never underestimate what a positive word, what one moment of believing in somebody can do for them. It can change everything. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that when you're nice to every person will have that moment. Obviously not. But don't waste the moment. Have an opportunity. If you see somebody struggling, and clearly this counselor saw you, an angry young teenage guy about to get in this next fight, and he's like, no, there's something about you.
Yes.
You need somebody that can give you some guidance. Yes. And when he stepped in, things started to change for you. So now when you get into high school, what are some of the things you're doing in high school?
Okay, so this is right around the time of COVID. So our first year of high school was my 9th grade year. We wasn't in school. We was on computers and all that. But I was still going to football practice. So around that time, I ain't gonna lie, you get experience to a lot of things in Memphis. In high school, this is when everything turns around. I remember thinking that's like high school, middle school. I'm thinking we're gonna go in there and dance and party. I was sadly mistaken. The first day I walked in, everybody just started checking each other. And Memphis chick, man, they get on your head.
I've seen it. I've witnessed it.
Yes. As soon as you go through the door, they were man flaming me, and I was like, golly, I'm trying to get friends and all that. It didn't work out like that. And I remember my first year in school, it was right after COVID. We had to be separated from each other, but we was still like, I'm gonna be honest with you, we weren't really separated from each other. We was in school, we was acting a fool. We had masks on our face, we was running around the hallways, we was acting crazy.
You're not different. That's not different than all the rest of America. Yeah, I'm sure.
I agree.
Going on everywhere. Absolutely.
Yes. But I can honestly say, like in high school, I mean, it's a whole new experience there. And I feel like our parents don't even tell us that. Like, if y'all know that y'all are parents, give us that warning. I wish I would have had a
different universe, wasn't it?
I wish I would have had a warning before I knew what sex was, or knew what how it is when you conversate with somebody and they mind is on a different level than yours, and preparing you for life. Like they did not like. I feel like it's a strong thing in Memphis where like they don't prepare their kids for life. They don't prepare them like, okay, well, you know, if you go to school now, you gotta get up on your own. I was getting up for late for school every single day. School started at 6. I was there at 9 every morning. I know for a fact that it was because I didn't have the right preparation. And I feel like parents should give more preparation and more time, because I mean, high school, especially in America, it's a different ball game. Yeah, you have to. I ain't gonna lie. I feel like I kind of lost myself for a minute when I went to high school. I started I would say I would never try to get a part of the crowd. But I tried to make my own crowd. I tried to have people follow me. And at first it was horrible because I didn't have God. I was just knowing of God, but at the same time though, I still know my way. So I'm in there, I'm talking to the young ladies, and I ain't gonna lie to you, they throwing themselves at you. They got even teachers are trying to throw themselves at you. It's just a lot of misconstrued things. And another thing I can say, the teachers, they don't even really care. The teachers, like they like we was in class and we've been in class for a whole year and not learned not one thing. Now and the work they giving us is kindergarten work. We sitting up here doing what's 3 times 5, what 3 times 6 and all that, and they giving us grades on it. And then once we get out of high school, we think we finna go to college and we think we finna experience something good. We got sadly mistaken. Yeah. I remember taking state tests and when I was flunking every single last one of them, not because I was dumb, it was because you weren't prepared. I wasn't prepared. Yeah. And I feel like that was one of the strongest things in high school, not being prepared and letting people do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yes. Jaylon, do you know that I experienced this still. So like, I didn't just get out of Memphis, right? So when I retired from the fire department, I went straight into teaching. So I'm a professor at Southwest Community College down off of Union. Yes. And I get a lot of Memphis City School kids coming into my classroom. And you're right. The very first thing I notice is they are way underprepared for college of anything. It doesn't matter what it is, but like being timely, being on time, being structured, having organizational skills, having self-discipline. I mean, I'm not saying that Memphis is the only one. Obviously, a lot of schools, high school kids come out and they have those same structural issues. But what I do in my classroom is a variety of tough love, but absolute love. When my students come in, usually on the first day, I make it a little weird. I will look at all of them and I'll say, I want you guys to know that I absolutely love you. And usually there's a handful of them that are like, oh, this is getting crazy.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, it's not in a weird way. I want you to know that I'm going to invest everything that I have into every one of you. I'm going to give you everything I've got in the class, but I'm also asking for the same. This is not a one-way trip. This is not a one-person team. I need you to give me everything you've got. And if you do that, I will not give up on you.
Yes.
But I'm not going to cut corners. And on like day 2, they recognize class starts at 9. And if you come in at 9:01, you are tardy and you're getting written up as tardy. And I will usually make jokes. You talk about the checking. I grew all up through Memphis. I am good at checking. I'm quick-witted. I will get in a check off in a heartbeat.
Yes.
And I'll make them put on point and they'll be like, oh. And I'm like, now get to your seat. Let's go.
Yes.
Now, sometimes that's not well received because people want to push back. They want to be the alpha of the classroom. And that is never going to fly on me. I'm a military guy. I'm a retired firefighter. I grew up in Memphis area. I probably can hold my own pretty good. So we go back and forth. But in the end, over 90% of those kids, I call them kids, but they're anywhere from 18 to 25, so young guys and girls. What I see is they may start out sometimes even pushing back. But it doesn't take long before they realize I'm not just talk. I'm real. I care about them. I want them to be successful.
Yes.
My success is only judged off of their success. So if they're not successful, I failed. But I don't fail if you don't give me your best. That's on you then. And I make that accountability straight up front. And I got news for you. Be a mentor, be a leader, and have accountability. Because the person just doing what they want, how they want, you're not structuring anything. If you have a system that works, infuse that in other people so they can be successful. And Jaylon, so that's what I'll bring all that up because here's the thing. What you're talking about in high school doesn't have to be the way that it is. Teachers can take a role. They can be a mentor. They should be. In college, I was told by my wife more than once, you're going to get fired. I said, fire me, because I'm there for the right reason.
Yes.
I'm there for them, not for me.
And that's great. I'm glad you got on that point. No, the crazy thing about Memphis, I'm just saying this from my own experience. I know not every school like that, but the teachers that are speaking just like you, they fired them. Every time a teacher was trying to be loving and respectful, I remember one of our teachers, he was help students get like clothes from our school. That he was just investing in them. Man, tell them real like leadership roles now, and they fired this man. And even when it was just a little small success and a little bit of hope, they take all that away. And I don't understand why in Memphis City schools they do that very heavily. And then they make a post talking about some, these students we need more teachers, but y'all taking all the good teachers out and influence us was bad. And now y'all wondering why the jail system is going up. Y'all wondering why these students they doing drugs. I mean hardcore drugs. I ain't just talking about just weed. These folks are doing they actually doing they doing perks now. Like these folks are up here making songs about popping perks. Like are you crazy? But the teachers who are there who are actually loving the current, they are scripting them out back to back to back. And that is crazy that you said that, because you are a great man for that. And we need more of that. And we need more teachers and people to come around to be like that. That's what we need in Memphis and strongly. Yes.
Don't be afraid to do the right thing. And I will also say doing the right thing is oftentimes not the easy thing, but it's always going to be the right thing.
Yes.
And for me, that was my structure and my approach to the classroom was I am going to hold my students accountable and I am going to give them everything I've got. And I'm not saying you got to do this, but I give every single one of my students my personal phone number. And I let them know I'm not on the clock from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. 24/7.
Yes.
If you need me, ever, text me, call me for anything. I will help you if I can. Yes. I can't say I can fix everything, but if I can help you, I will. And every one of my students have my phone number. And I do that because in the end, it's not about them making a grade. It's not about them even getting the job they want. It's about them knowing somebody's in their corner.
Yes.
And they want to help them succeed in life. That's all that I care about. That's why I go by Coach Camp in the classroom. They don't call me teacher or instructor or professor. It's Coach Camp, because that's what I do is I try to always be that mentor and that coach. And I got to tell you, man, it's pretty, I will say 90 to 95% of my students really appreciate it. I'm not going to say it's 100%. That's not reality anyways. Yes. But I have 2 rules in my class, and that's don't be late and don't suck. And how you suck is you didn't give me your best, but more specifically, you didn't give yourself your best, and you deserve that. So we have really covered some good stuff here. Now, I want to find out, because I know that you are a really good football player.
Oh, yes.
And you're into high school. So let's talk about football. Let's talk about the coaches, the mentorship, and where that brings you now. Because you're only 17 years old, so it's not like you're 45 and talking about the days in the past.
Yes.
You probably still get out of bed and can walk straight without limping. I can't do that because I'm about to be 51.
Wow. 51?
I know, bro.
Wow.
Trust. So that hurts. It's okay. Yes. Yeah. So tell to me a little bit about that. What's the football in high school?
Football in high school, I honestly say that it was amazing. I mean, it was one of the greatest experiences. I mean, I remember my first game like it was yesterday. We was playing against Christian brothers. I mean, of course they twaxed us. I mean, they did us bad. They scored touchdowns back to back to back. But being able to go out there and seeing a crowd full of people cheering your name, seeing a crowd full of people yelling your name, had that support, oh man, it's way different than what you think you see on movies. I mean, it's like the world just got quiet and you out there on the field making plays. And I remember, I ain't gonna lie, my first year I was pretty bad, but as time was going on, my coaches, they started developing me. I remember Coach Flowers from Kirby. He was one of my greatest coaches, and Coach Jones, man, they very much put everything they could inside me. And I just started watching time go on. I just started doing crazy things like this. Past season, I had 109 tackles. I had 12 sacks. I had 25 tackles for loss, all because of them just doing that extra yard. They was texting me and making sure every single day that I was okay and that I was fine. It was just more than just football. It was actually like a family, and I really realized that football has brought like a family and a culture to it. And even when I had left Kirby and went to Sheffield, Coach Eric Kirkendall, he was a linebacker coach. I had to leave from DN to linebacker. Man, I ain't gonna lie, he was one of the greatest coaches ever. He started telling me techniques, started telling me moves. He already knew that I can do things, but he added something to my craft. And just by him adding a little time, it did the same thing, taking time to call, he drove all the way to Horn Lake, Mississippi, picked me up, took me to practice, took me to different college camps, just doing them little small things, just a little couple of hours of your day. It changed my whole motive for football, because I ain't gonna lie, during this past football season, my uncle, I had lost him. He had passed away right before the season started. Right before the season started. I was
the one that raised you.
The one that raised me, the man of our household. I had to. It was so much happening one time. I had to not only be the man in the house, because I'm the only man, and I got five and six other women inside this house. So I needed their support. But I'm not gonna lie either. That having support from coaches, but at the same time, it was a little tricky, because it was still that fine line of they wanted what they wanted. They wanted that star player. They didn't, and sometimes they did get along when I lost my dad, because I'm like, bro, I want my coach to understand that I'm hurting, I'm grieving. I had to literally get on the field the next month and had to make plays, had to do all this. It hurt because I'm like, so do y'all just want me for football, or do y'all just want me because I can do all these things? I thought we was a family at first. It did hurt. It hurt when my coaches were just telling me, I need you to practice. My father figure literally just passed away. You tell me you need me for practice, and it's just been 2 days. Yeah. I am hurt. But at the same time, I had to realize that they saw something in me that I didn't even see. At first glance, I'm like, these folks are really using me, but they really just knew what I had, what I was capable of. And this season, I was breaking the work, because I became All-American. I was first Tennessee linebacker. I mean, Coach Kirkendall, he did his thing with me. He actually he molded me to something. Even though I know you probably watching this now. I know you probably mad for not taking this scholarship offer, and I go on for them offers I had got, because I had an offer from Belton University. I had turned it down because I wanted to stay in Memphis and help people in Memphis. Matter of fact, I turned down all of my scholarships just to stay in Memphis. And he was mad. He was furious. He didn't talk to me for about a month. And I remember, but yes, I understand what he was doing now. At first, it was hurting. I ain't gonna lie, because it's like, it's more for like football. It's like, it's more of like a gimmick. Like you have to really understand what you're doing and what you are going for. If you go out there with a flat level head, just thinking that you just a star, you're a star player, you are sadly mistaken. It's the things you do off the field that counts. It's the time 100%. that you spend with your players, your teammates. It's the time that you do with your crafting material. It's not just go shine. And I was sadly mistaken. I just wanted to go shine. I just wanted to go crazy. I want the spotlight. That's why I probably was fighting my teammates. That's why I probably was getting mad at the twinkle of an eye when they said so, because I knew that I was a great player, but I had to be humbled very quickly. And my coaches, this is exactly what they did. They made me to a great player, but they always humbled me through their trial.
One of the things about coaches that if you're a good coach is that you're not just trying to teach the game, you're trying to put tools in place to be able to handle life. And for myself, baseball was my sport, right? So I grew up playing baseball. Now I've coached baseball, coached softball, and there's so many aspects of the game that spill over into real world. And I was able to use different things that I was taught or that I've learned over the years. And I apply that to my real world life all the time. And I'm sure football is the same. You know, most sports or anything you have a passion for, you could cross relate to the real world and the things that you get from it. So I was curious about how the coaches played into your mentorship and your role. And so this leads us to the point at the end of the story here where it's so important, because this is the thing that you shared with me at the Teen Summit that really tugged at my heartstrings, because, you know, I'm not saying that it's exactly, but I have seen similar stories play out throughout Memphis. It's not a secret. Memphis is a rough city. It's one of the most dangerous cities in America, and that's because of the violent crimes. And I've seen versions of this throughout time, throughout the years. And I was there for, it's over 20 years now. So it's, you shared with me about a moment where things had happened at your house and you went home and you had an intention.
Yes.
It didn't go the way that you had intended, what you thought was going to happen. And it was not long after that where you really made a connection with God and everything changed.
Yes. Okay. So that moment, I'm glad you brought that up, but it's one of the heartfelt moments, one of the hardest moments in my life. I mean, that's what my life had really got devoted to God. Many people don't even know the story because I don't even tell people, but now everybody for the know. But one night we was at my house in Horn Lake, and it was Christmas time, and it's gonna be the one of the second or third Christmas. My mom, she actually was gonna be there, but I knew it was this weird feeling about my mom, and she was like real sad, and I'm like, why is she sad? It's Christmas. She used to in front of me. She used to just smile, but she'd go in the room and she'd just be crying. And come to find out, my dad, the person who birthed me, he came and he came in the house. He created a lot of chaos. Him and his friend. They came in there. They was arguing. He was talking about his set and all that in Horn Lake. So I said, y'all drove all the way to Mississippi. Y'all must don't know. Once you cross this state line, it's a different ball game. But he didn't care. He wanted to take my mama from me. And I remember my auntie, my grandma, house full of women. I'm the only man there. So, and my sister, everybody in there crying, they yelling, they like leave, they telling him to get out. And my mama, I just remember seeing my mama storm out. She just stormed out the house. She just started running and crying into the trees. So, around my house is like a lot of trees and a lot of like land. She just took off running and started crying. And at that moment, I ain't gonna lie, I felt so much pain, so much hurt, so much neglectness, because I'm like, you came here, you didn't come say Merry Christmas, you didn't even say, hey son, how you doing? You came here and you looked right past me. You didn't even say you love me. You didn't say nothing. You came straight to my mother and you pulled her out the house. You had her running into some trees, just running to get away. So when that happened, I had ended up going into the back room because I always knew where the guns was at. I had got the gun, I cocked it, I had put bullets in, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna be the time. I was finna go ahead and take my father out, because I mean, it wasn't that only that he was harming my mother. It's just I wanted to kill that part of me. I wanted to kill that anger in me. I knew if I was, well, at that time, I thought that if I was to take his life, that the anger inside me would finally be gone. The stress and the pain of my mom would actually be gone. And I was loading the bullets, and I just remember my auntie, she came in there, she was just pulling me, and my grandma, they were trying to pull me down, and the bullets and everything fell out the gun, but it was still one in the chamber. So I'm pushing through there, I'm like, bro, I'm finna go kill this man. And I just hear my grandma crying out in the bathroom. She was like, no. And my auntie, they were like, no, don't do it. And I stood there, and I had ran outside in the backyard because I just needed time to think, because I still hear my dad and them arguing in the front. I knew if I can go to the backyard, I can go around the front, and they would never know that I was going to go ahead and off him. Well, off him means kill him or hurt him. And I seen his friend and his dad, and I looked at my phone, and my pastor called. He was like, Jaylon, God just told me to call you. God had told me to call you to talk to you and say that we here for you. Then you ain't got to do what you got to do. I said, what? God told you to call me at this moment, this specific moment where I got the gun in my hand. I'm sitting got tears rolling down my face. I'm finna take this man out. And from that moment forward, it's just like God had made me surrender. I had to fall on my knees and just started praying. And my pastor and they just started bringing me in as a family. They don't know that night I was going to take my dad out until the next couple of days when I told them what was going on. And that's when I knew God was real. Yeah. That's when I knew that it really is a God out there. It's really somebody out there who see when I'm in my pain, when I'm in my suffering, when I feel like everything is going wrong, it's somebody there. And it's not just somebody, it's the almighty power of God. And that changed my whole life. That's what made me start getting more influence in church. I started sitting in front of the church with my future wife, and she just started telling me more about God. She started introducing more to me. I started receiving it, not just hearing it, but receiving God, find out who Jesus really was. And I remember one night I was mad because she was like, do you know who Jesus really is? And I'm like, yeah, he the man that died for us on the cross, this and that. She like, no, find out who Jesus really is. I had to actually open up the Bible. I had read Job, and I was reading all the 4 Gospels, and I was like, oh, this is Jesus. This is God. He's a person that was there in the dark times. And everything has molded me to who I am now. And that's how I got to the point that I am.
How old were you at that moment?
At that moment, I was like 16 going on 17 around this time.
So not much more than a year ago. I was seeming like I was remembering you saying it was just a recent time.
Yeah, it was very recent.
So at 13, your first introduction to church and to God is, you know of it.
Yes, I know of it, but I wasn't really paying no attention to church.
But obviously there was not the understanding and the connection, is what we could say. And then that moment, what many would say as a teenager, any human, any age, but especially as a teenager, the darkest moment where you've now come to terms with you're going to have to kill your father.
Yes.
And by a miracle, the preacher calls you. In that one moment, everything changed for you. Now, you're 17. When's your birthday?
August 25th, really next month.
So you're almost 18.
Almost 18.
I'm August 30th, by the way. We should have cake and ice cream. So here's what I'm going to say, Jaylon. There are people out there right now watching, and if it's not their family or it's not their young person, it's maybe somebody they know. You clearly, if you would have went down the path of being a victim of your circumstances, and you would have used that as your reasoning to life, to not be a success or to make a lot of bad choices, it's really hard for a person to look at a young person that has had all the things happen to you that you've had happen, and you make bad choices and blame you, okay? But what I want people to hear is that that's not how you have to live your life. That's not the way it has to go. And I have seen people in your position turn that switch and have some of the biggest impacts on other people's lives. I want you to go back to my second episode I ever put out.
Okay.
Mr. Thomas Green. He spent 14 years in the state penitentiary.
Wow.
And his story is incredible. And now he went from the state penitentiary to the state university. He's a PhD, and he works with troubled youth. He works with people in the prison system to get them counseling, to get them education.
Yes.
He used his battles to be his victory. Sir, at this point in your life, with so many things on the horizon for a very young Jaylon, the possibilities are endless. So tell me just a little bit now about what your intentions are moving forward, what your goals are, and how you're going to use that trauma to be your victory.
Man, that's a great question. Then the thing about this is that this is crazy because I was telling God I want to tell my testimony, and I just didn't know when to do it, and I'm having deja vu of you.
Welcome to Coach Camp Show.
Yes, this is actually deja vu. I remember talking to somebody I'd never seen or knew who the person was, but we had this same question, And the things that I'm doing in my future right now is I'm going to school to University of Memphis for criminal justice, and I'm doing exactly what I want to do. I'm going to be a mentor. I want to be inside the youth minister, a mentor to the youth in Memphis. I want to start talking more to the people that's in Memphis and the kids that's around America, to let them know, like, you don't have to be alone, that you got somebody out there, there's somebody who been through this same hurt, this same pain. I'm actually devoting my life to God and devoting my life to ministry. Like, I football is there, but my main goal right now is going after God and striving for God, getting more knowledge from God, getting more acceptance from God, getting more of a loving understanding, and to be able to touch people and touch people's hearts. Like, even now, even with the mayor, we had did a team summit. I had got a group of kids. He was there too, with my young cousin, and we was out just having fun. We just enjoying ourselves. I was talking to him, and I was telling him, like, this is what I want to do. I want to go back to the youth. I want to go back to the kids who's 12 and 13, the kids who are just not experiencing who they truly are. Mm-hmm. And I want to do that for the rest of my life. And I want to actually make that my career, is helping people around Memphis and actually helping people in America that has been going through a suffering time.
You can use football as your vessel,
yes,
100%.
Yes.
I can't tell you how many kids that I have seen change aspects of their life from my coaching in sports. Not to say that I did it, but what happens is, as a mentor, and this is where you got to see this, is you're not going to put something into somebody they didn't have. But what you can do is unlock the potential. Yes. And that's what a mentor needs to do. A person has so much inside of them that they're capable of, but sometimes they need somebody to give them that bump, that encouragement. Yes. And that's what a mentor can do, is they unlock the potential within them. So here's the message I need you to take forward. You can say it however you want, but this is what I see from you. This is the energy I've received today. Find a way to turn your hate into hope, because that's what you've done, my friend. You have turned your anger over the years, which is very understandable, into now the mission to not just make your life better, but everybody else around you better. And I think that's the big story to life in general. And sir, you're gonna be capable of whatever you set your mind to at this point. No looking back. Use those moments of difficulty, though, to give you strength and to know that you're capable to keep moving and going forward whenever you see something in life that's not fair, because life's not going to be fair. It's not supposed to be fair, but it's about how strong can you be. And you now have one person in your corner that can get you through everything. And I think his name is Jesus Christ.
Yes, sir.
So, sir, we are at the end of the show now. Right. You have done so much and given so much to my audience. I like to ask my guests this. You're leaving them with something, leaving them with one thought, one idea. What would you tell my listeners at this time?
I would tell them to always trust and believe in God no matter what, and to always remember that for much is required, you are needed to trust and believe in God, and to understand that God is going to have you even at your darkest moments, even when the times are very low, that you are chosen. Follow your calling. Follow your things that truly inspire you. No matter what anybody has to say, always know who you truly want and what you truly desire, and that's going to get you through your success in life. You're not going to be successful just because you have $1 million cars, just because you have $1 million, just because you got everything in the world that you want. You're going to be successful when you find success inside yourself and the things that truly motivate you, and the things that truly makes you happy. Always go with your heart and not your mind.
Bro, I can't wait to see where you go next. I know that there are big things for you. Look, stay connected with me.
Yes, I'm
You are going to do big things, sir, and I'm excited about that. I'm so thankful that we came across each other at that teen summit. We had a moment there. I'm looking forward to everything that is coming from you and my listeners. I know that you guys absolutely enjoyed this guy. Sharp young man that's going to be able to do a lot of great things in this world. Take some motivation from that. Step up, step out, go do those things that you need to do. So I want to say,
wait.
Yes.
One more thing.
Do it.
About them trying to connect me.
Yes, connect. Yes. So pause on the outro. If you want to be able to get a hold of Mr. Jaylon and talk to him, maybe he could be a mentor to you or connect you.
Yes.
How do you do it?
Okay, so you can go to Instagram. My name is Man of God, and it's gonna be _Jay 7. And then on Facebook, you can contact me as Jaylon. It's Jay then LON. And that's how you can contact me. I can be a mentor. I can be able to talk to you and receive anything that you need.
I like it, man. Thank you so much. Thank you to my listeners. As always, look, continue to tune in. Go to my website, motivatewithcoachcamp.com. Subscribe to my YouTube. And until next time, Coach Camp out.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out.